Hello, welcome to another week at the bungalow. You find us pretty much where you left us, kneeling on the floor doing some flooring. So it's all dried up, the bit we did last week, nice and rock solid. Rollo's back checking on it. So we're just using standard old wood glue for this, holding it all together. Once it's down and in place, it's tapped in, close up the gaps. Pretty much because it's engineered, the timber seems to be almost, dart straight. We only had a couple of bits that were a bit wafty and didn't seem to want to go into place or wouldn't behave, so they had to get pulled out. Use them for cuts or use them underneath, well, what will be kitchen units, etc. So it all gets used, just gets used in different places. Like I said before, the ideal part, the point about this area is that it's going to be seen all the time and there's going to be very little furniture on it. So I just want to make sure it's as good as we can make it. It's also the same with all these things, that nobody's ever going to look at it quite as closely as you are. It'll have some varnish on it, and also you tend not to lean around on the floor looking at someone's flooring. But I guess that's not the point, and you just do your absolute best whatever it is. So first run of a new week. Sticking all the glue in the grooves. And a bit more trimming on the plaster, just to make sure it fits nicely. So as long as it's lined up good, it doesn't take too much to knock these boards in. So I've used this particular type of engineered oak before. It's a 22mm board made up of about 5mm of oak on top of a ply board underneath. We found previously when we've used it, it's nice and stable, doesn't move. Barely moves at all once it's put down. Ideal for this sort of purpose. I think you can probably glue it down straight onto the concrete floor. But I think just that extra bit of thermal insulation just helps keep the boards warm. Especially when the weather's like it is outside at the moment. So as we fly through this bit, progress is steadily happening. So these bits are good. Got the laser there, keeping all the joints in a nice line all the way across the floor. Claire's laying down some more of the green insulation underneath, and we're pretty much doing full boards all the way across, and they're just having to cut each end square to length. So this is the good bit. Not too fiddly, not too much stuff to cut around. Just using the standard cross-cut saw with a wood blade in it, and cutting the boards upside down, so they're cutting through from the underside through, and with the way that the blade goes, it just means that the oak doesn't get destroyed on the top and we don't get too many chips and break out. I mean, it's going at the edge and it's going to be covered with the skirting board, but nevertheless trying to keep it as neat as possible. Worst part about doing this, knees hurt at the end of the day. Have finally invested in some knee pads, so we shall see. Mainly to stop me complaining, I think. So as we head to the next plank, got a slightly more technical piece coming up to give us something to challenge about. So we've got to cut all the way into the edge along the tongue, and the window frame has a funny edge where the door is as well. It's sort of part of the weatherproofing. So a bit of patience, everything takes a bit of time. Mark up and trim. Picked up a nice fine-toothed saw for these bits. Just make sure it comes up nice. And that's it. Slides in nice, and by the time it's got a bit of skirting round, everyone's a winner. And carrying on, much of the same. Trimming and tapping, making sure all the joints are nice and close. Obviously try not to walk on it or move it once the glue's in there and it's all the boards are in place. Points like this, unfortunately, sometimes unavoidable. I've also got a wet cloth we use to pick the glue off or wipe the glue off as we're progressing. So we've got to that point now. Can't get the hammer in to tap it across, so we're got a ratchet strap with a sort of claw at each end, and then pulling across the whole lot of the boards just to tuck in those last few. just in a couple of points over this wide area. Most of the boards are dried off now, it's just the last couple of rows. Just making sure they snug up nicely. Always a bit dubious of this, don't want to get it too tight, otherwise you'll end up just pulling the boards up in the air. So it's a matter of getting them tight but not too tight. Last piece in place. And we'll pass that bit. This is a bit we all want to see. Colour goes on the floor. Well, not colour, in fact, clear. But nevertheless, make it look shiny and nice. So we're using an Osmo oil, sort of diamond hard type stuff. We've used it before once again on the old hardwood floors. Claire swears by it. Picked up a can of Ronseal in the local B&Q with the idea of using it, and I said to her, nah, I don't think that's probably a good idea because you'll only not like the finish and we'll end up going and buy the Osmo anyway. As they say, most expensive is the cheapest in the long run. And this stuff does seem to work. Absolutely reeks when you're putting it down, but can't argue with the finish. So like everything, we're in a rush in as much as we need to get the floor down. There's a whole lot of area that we're is out of action or will be for a couple of days while it's being painted and while it's being finished. So Claire started painting as I'm continuing to do the boards. And as you can see from the darkness outside, we're working into the late hours, powering through and getting it done. Different shot here, and the light's slightly different. You can really see the colour that the Osmo brings out. Heading towards the pipe work halfway across the kitchen for the island, or where the island's going to go. Hit the halfway point, enough for today. Claire's just finishing off the painting. But we got to the island plumbing. Boards are down around that. And here we are, new day. More boarding to go down. Just the final push, so we're heading towards the where you can see the pink plasterboard, because we're still waiting for the plasterers to come back and finish that bit off. So we're looking to power through and get the kitchen boards down, and for the dining room and the lounge area, so we can start getting kitchen units in and start getting that put together. Puppy's there as always, keeping an eye on things. So we're using this green fiberboard, which is what's going underneath the oak flooring. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but there's various different types you can get. Most of them are of some sort of expanded polystyrene type material. Various different foil backed, non-foil backed. We tend to go with this one. We've got a concrete floor underneath. There's no problem with damp, so we're not using it as any sort of vapor barrier or moisture barrier. So, and this one provides the best sound deadening as far as we can tell, and also takes the most weight. So for things like sofas and tables and kitchens and all the rest of it, it's not going to crush. That tends to be why we're using it. We're also using it upstairs for the sound deadening properties, hoping that it stops the foot traffic noise from transferring downstairs. Obviously it's going to be separated because it's a floating floor, but nevertheless that's the plan of action behind it. Here we go, on the last leg, last few pieces going in. These will all be underneath the kitchen units. Like everything, there are times when you wonder why you do certain things, but get the flooring first and then it's all the way across. All sorted. I'm putting the last few bits in. Claire's already started the painting of the floor, getting that first coat on this section. In total, the floor will be getting 2 coats. And there we have it. Kitchen, dining room, lounge area, flooring finished. Next week we'll start putting in the kitchen. But as far as this week is concerned, I thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.